Hi everybody, today we are going to be doing a training on the Portfolios app on Learning Genie for educators, and we'll also be visiting the website in order to see what types of reports you can pull based on all of your evidence and your assessments. So right now we are all open up to our Learning Genie Educator app. You should be able to download that from your iTunes or Google Play Store. This is on the iPad, meaning it's a horizontal orientation. If you're following along using a Android device or an iPhone, that's going to be in a vertically oriented device, which all have the exact same capabilities. However, there might be a slightly different layout. So do your best to follow along with me because I do want this to be a hands-on training for everybody. If you need support at any time, feel free to give us a call. Our phone number at Learning Genie is 760-576-4822. So you'll be able to reach out to that number afterwards if you ever need support with anything. During this training, I encourage you to, again, be very hands-on, but pause that video if you ever need to catch up. So right now, when you're logged in, you should see your account with a demo class as well as any classes that you were assigned to. If you are an administrator, you will be able to see all of the classes within your agency. If you're a site administrator, you'll be able to see all of the different classes within each site. And if you're a teacher, you will only be able to have access to the classes that you're assigned to. For the purposes of this training, we are going to be focusing on the demo class, so then it won't impact any of your real classes at all. So go ahead and open up that demo class. Once you open it up, you'll see that you have on the left side, if you're on an iPad, you have the roster and portfolios tab as well as a more tab. If you are on an Android or iPhone, you will be able to see, instead of a more tab, you'll see 3 lines in your upper left-hand corner, and that's going to be the same thing as the more tab. Your tabs for roster and portfolios will be along the bottom. So let's go ahead and open up the rosters first. In the roster page, that's where you'll be able to see all of the teachers who are assigned to this account, as well as all the children who are in this classroom. So these teachers and admin up here are the ones who have access to these children's portfolios. That means that you can collaborate with each other on your notes. You will be able to see each other's notes, and you'll be able to use each other's evidence as you rate. If you are a teacher assistant, you will be able to write notes, and your teachers will be able to edit them, but teacher assistant roles are not able to rate those particular measures, just so you're aware. Go ahead and click on the little edit pencil in the upper right-hand corner. This is going to be where you're able to see the name of the classroom, the framework that you're using. Our demo class is set to the infant toddler framework. That's going to be where you can see which measures you are going to have access to. So if you are in real life assigned to a preschool framework, you will not see everything in your demo class that you will be rating in real life, because the preschool framework has more measures than the infant toddler. Learning Genie supports essential as well as fundamental and comprehensive frameworks for infant toddlers and for preschool. So you can choose either of those views, but these are set by the administrators. So you as teachers will not be able to set these frameworks. That's going to be set by your administrators. Same thing for the rating periods here. Now, if you are a state program, you probably have access to just a fall and spring. But if you are a Head Start, for example, you probably report 3 times fall, winter, and spring. And you will be able to see the date ranges for each of these rating periods as well. So this one right now is set from February through April this year. Right now it's titled fall, but in reality, we probably would not be in fall, we would be in spring. Go ahead and click back. You can see there's an add, a little plus sign there to add a child. Now, your administrators are going to be the ones who add the children, most likely, unless you're a smaller agency. Go ahead and click on that plus sign. I just want you to be aware, if you are a smaller agency, you will probably, as teachers, be adding your children. So this is how you would add in your child's basic information. On the website, you would add in more detailed information, but on the app, you are just going to be putting in the child's first name, last name, date of birth, and entry date. Don't worry about this photo consent from parents. That mostly has to do with your family engagement, which we're not focusing on today. Go ahead and click back. Now, with your real children, they won't come with their profile pictures. So you'll need to add them. So you can just select a child here. And just so you know, this is where you can see all the information about the child, the basic information. And in order to add a profile picture, you just tap up here and you'll be able to add a photo from your photo album, or you can take a picture in real life now. So if you want to take a second to have fun there and take a selfie or take a picture of your neighbor, go ahead and practice taking a picture. Mine is not the best selfie, and it looks like my app is still trying to catch up to my video right now. I have, there we go. I'm not looking at the right side of the camera, but that's okay. I can shrink this photo and make it fit. What I recommend is just taking pictures of all your kids on your device and then later going into your photo album to add those pictures of those students. And then to save your information, you just click that check mark in the upper right-hand corner. Yes, so for these fake children, they were saved without birthdays, so you'll have to go in and add in your own birthday and add in your own entry date. Don't worry about the photo consent or anything about parents here. If you ever need to set a child to inactive, meaning they have moved away from your classroom, you can always set a child to inactive and it will not delete their information. Go ahead and click that check mark to save. In some cases, administrators will be the only ones to set children to inactive, so you have to set your own policies here. Now go ahead and click on portfolios. That portfolios tab is where you're going to see all of the information for how to read all of the different notes that you've written for each child. And this is also going to be where you can visit the ratings that you have so far on these children. And I'll walk you through each of these steps. Now for Jason's portfolio, I can scroll through and see all of his notes with the most recent note at the top down to the least recent note at the bottom. If I ever want to see Emily's or a different child's portfolio, I just tap on their faces and it'll take me to their portfolios. To add a new portfolio note, you'll click on the little plus sign in the upper right-hand corner, and that's going to take you to the Add Portfolio page. This is going to be where you add your information for each note, so you can add your text, your tags, and your kids. Those are the most essential pieces for each note, the text, tags, and kids. Now, other features here, like your media buttons, for example, those are extra things that you can add to make your notes even richer. But everything that Learning Genie requires is just your text, tags, and kids. Let's go ahead and add in a note here. So just tap on this little text box up at the top, and you can either type in or you can use this microphone button to dictate your notes using speaking out loud your punctuation, for example. You could use the word period or use the word exclamation point, and it will type that out for you. Since I'm doing a web share right now, it's not actually going to let me dictate my notes, but you guys can go ahead and try that. Same thing with this hold talk button. That allows you to speak your notes in as well. So let me go ahead and type in the children sorted their blocks by color and counted each pile up to 5. So I've just added in my notes. Now I need to add the tags. The tags is what saves learning. It saves you so much time. Learning Genie saves you a ton of time by allowing you to pick more than one measure to file this note under. So then you'll be able to find all of this data later, and it's all pre-sorted for you. So now I'm talking about the children sorting their blocks by color. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my cognitive domain here, and I'm going to select classification because that's what sorting is. It's classifying. And now I think about counting each pile. That's our number sense of quantity. So this note applies to more than one skill. So this note is going to be filed under both of these measures, and I'll be able to find them later when I'm ready to rate. Where I can add children at the bottom, this is where I can choose whose portfolio I want this to go into. So I can go ahead and select that plus sign and choose one child, or I can click on this all button to select all children, and it'll go into every single child's portfolio. If I were ready to save right now, I could, and all of this would go into the children's portfolios. I'm kind of writing 6 notes at once because you'll notice that this note gets placed into 2 different note or 2 different measures for all 3 children. So that's like 6 notes at once, saving a ton of time. If I wanted to save, I could, but let's go ahead and add in some extras. Let's talk about some of these extra features here. So you can click on the little photo album button if you want to pull some photos you've already taken. I'm going to go ahead and select, I don't have any real sorting pictures, but I can go ahead and select that one. It has something to do with blocks at least. Then I can click done. I can add 1 photo. I can take a photo in the moment if I like. You can practice taking a photo of your neighbor if you're sitting next to them. You can also take a video recording up to 20 seconds and an audio recording as well. So you can add all of that media into one note if you like. And that makes that note so rich when you're ready to rate those children because you have such detailed information. Your audio can be up to 2 minutes long. So what I would suggest is if you want to capture a conversation between children, you might want to use that audio versus the video button. If you pre-record a video, you can pull it from your album and then just cut the 20 seconds that you want to use for this note. At the bottom, you'll notice there are 2 other buttons, reference and update the entry date. Reference is great because that's going to be where you can actually pull up the full DRDP for the framework that you're using. So this is going to open up to the last page you were looking at. So if you ever need to find a measure and read more detail in terms of the descriptions of each of the different levels, or if you want to read one of the examples, you can zoom in with your fingers as well and pull that up for yourself. I'm going to go ahead and click back. Update the entry date is so important because you want to make sure that your notes are categorized on the correct date that they occurred. And that's so important because DRDP is all about growth over time. And you won't be able to measure those children's growth if you do not categorize your notes on the right date. So make sure that you, if this happened yesterday, go ahead and click on that update the entry date and backdate it to yesterday. You won't be able to future date though, because it won't let you predict the future here. It knows that wouldn't be the truth. So make sure that your date is in the past and then you can select done. The draft button is great for any time you are not yet done with a note and you want to come back to it. Or if you want to write a note and you don't have the ability to save it online because you're out on the playground or you're out on a field trip, you can select that draft button there. And that's going to allow you to have it saved on your device without the internet. So this note is saved locally, meaning it's just saved on my device. I won't be able to access it on any other device because it hasn't saved to the internet. Once you do come back into the classroom, or once you do have internet, or once you are ready to publish it online, just go ahead and click on that draft and then select update. And then you click on that little check mark to save, and that will publish this note online. And mine is going to show up at the bottom of these children's, oops. Oh, there we go. I just didn't recognize it. So yeah, it's going to show up at the bottom because this was, again, backdated to yesterday. Along the bottom, it'll tell you who wrote that note and what role they had. And that's so that you can, as an administrator, know who's writing these notes. So if you ever need to give feedback to anybody, you'll be able to do that there. Let's pretend it's partway through the rating period and you want to start seeing what you're able to rate, or you want to plan and see which measures you still need evidence for. Just go ahead and click on that little graph button in the upper right-hand corner. That's going to take you to the portfolio status page. On the portfolio status page, that's where you're going to be able to see all of your measures that you've already observed, as well as all the measures that you have not yet observed, meaning you do not have evidence for them. Among all your observed measures, they're categorized into rated and unrated measures. Your unrated measures are going to be all the ones that you have evidence for, but you haven't yet assigned a rating to them yet. So you can look at this number in parentheses and actually determine which ones you might be more likely to rate based on the number of notes you have. So I can see ATL Reg 1 has 2 pieces of evidence, so I might be more likely to rate that one. So I can click on that note or that measure, and I could reflect on all of the evidence that I have so far for this child. And if I'm ready to rate, I can click on rating. If I want to look back at my DRDP reference, I can click on that. I'm just going to go ahead and click on rating. This is where you can see examples of all the different ratings for this framework. So you might want to refer to these. These aren't a checklist of what the child has the ability to do. These are just examples of types of evidence you might pull to show that this child is at this particular level. So you reflect on your evidence, you select a rating, and then to save, you click on that little check mark in the upper right-hand corner. You'll notice that your measure now moved up to the rated section and it turned green. If you ever have any rated measures up here that have a red dot, all that means is that you have new evidence that has now been added since the last time you've rated. So you do not have to re-rate your evidence after you see that red dot, but it does suggest that you reflect on it and make sure that your ratings are still accurate, but it doesn't force you to do anything. If you are a teacher who's used to the bubble sheet, you can click on the Rate All page, and this is going to pull up a sheet that you may be familiar with. It will show all of your ratings, or all of your measures here, where you can rate the children here using bubble sheets. It's, again, graying out, so you cannot rate what you don't have evidence for. But if you do have evidence, they will be blue and you will be able to assign a rating. However, we recommend that you use this little arrow button there to see the evidence and reflect on the evidence before you assign a rating. So I can click back, and now I can just select the rating based on that child's evidence. I can change ratings at any time, so don't be afraid of rating and coming back and changing it later. I'll go ahead and click back. So that is a summary of how to gather evidence and how to rate measures on the app. Now what I want to do is actually show you the website where you can pull some reports. So I'm going to go ahead and click New Share, and I'm going to share my website here. There we go. You should be able to see my website screen now. I wanted to show you what the website looks like. You're going to log in onto web.learning-genie.com. If you just want to follow along with your eyes for now and do this later, you can do that. But if you do have the ability to open up the website, I suggest you pause the video and go to web.learning-genie.com and sign in with the exact same login that you had before. Now, your demo class is not going to transfer between devices because your demo class is only for practice. So you're not going to see any of your notes from your demo class on your iPad on the computer, just so you know. You can go into your classrooms here to pull evidence, and I want to show you a couple different things. Not pull evidence, pull reports. So if you click on your classroom, you probably do not have evidence in there yet, but I'll show you what mine looks like. There are going to be reports that you'll be able to pull. My internet's a little bit slow. Once you open up your classroom, you'll be able to see your reports will fall underneath the class status button. You'll also be able to use the PDF button, here we go, to print out PDFs of your children's portfolio. So you can use those to give to your families. So you'll be able to print them sorted by domain or by date for one child or for the whole classroom. I'm going to go ahead and click on class status here. This is where you can pull your portfolio status. You can do all of the same things that you did on your app as you can do on your web portal. But the reports and the PDFs are things that you can't do on the app. So that's why I'm walking through those right now. So I can pull up progress assessment report. And what this is going to show you are 3 reports that would be helpful for your lesson planning. The first one is the detailed group rating report from last period, which is going to show you all of the children's ratings from the previous rating period, even if they weren't in your classroom. If their ratings were in Learning Genie already and they were in your agency, you will be able to see where the children are falling, and you'll be able to plan your groups and plan all of your lessons based on those children's data, even if they weren't in your classroom. So that's really nice. Formative results shows where the children are scoring so far in this current rating period. And this is going to, again, allow you to plan groups, but it'll also have little pluses and minuses next to the children's names if they had scores from the last rating period. And that's going to allow you to see how the children are growing from one rating period to the next. So for example, Ashley, if she had a score last rating period that was one score below this, you would see a plus sign here because that means she's grown one score since the last rating period. So this is nice to see children's growth, as well as to plan homogeneous groups for children who may be at the same level. If they're here, that means they are not yet rated. You can print PDFs of all these reports and even post them up in your room if you want to use those to help guide your lessons. The observation status is great for when you want to see which measures you've observed for the children and which ones you haven't yet for the class as a whole. It's also really nice to see how much evidence you have for each child for each of these measures. And it's great to be able to track patterns. So you can see, for example, if there are certain measures that you observe, certain domains that you spend a lot of time observing, and maybe there are some other measures or some other domains that you observe less often. For example, my gross motor manipulative skills, I have all these children here who have not yet been observed. Maybe because I'm outside, maybe I don't bring my iPad out to do my observations. It allows you to see those patterns in yourself so that you can make sure to address them in your lesson planning and make sure that you're very purposeful in the types of evidence that you're gathering. You also might notice patterns with particular children not being observed. Maybe they had multiple absences. So again, noticing those patterns helps you be more purposeful in your teaching and in your evidence gathering. You may want to generate PDFs of this report as well. I know a lot of teachers do that. Now, the last thing I want to show you is the dashboard. This is going to be the great place for you to be able to track your progress toward completing your assessments. You will be able to see for each rating period, you'll be able to see how close you are. Here, I'll go to my preschool to completing, because you can see for this classroom, I have 136 total notes, and I have about 47% observed and 10% rated. Now, if I'm filtered down to one class, which is what most teachers will be doing, they won't be able to see data from any other classroom. You can see it for each child, how close you are to completing their observations and ratings, and you can see where their due dates are for their rating periods. So that's really nice for you to be able to track your completion, and also again track those patterns. I noticed that I observe Ashley a lot, but I haven't, or I've rated a lot of Ashley's, but I haven't rated any of Isabel's over here. So maybe you might notice some of those patterns in yourself, and it allows you again to be more purposeful. It's also great for administrators to be able to track these. So admins have that transparency into the classroom, and they don't have to knock on doors and ask the teachers who are doing everything quickly. They don't have to spend the time on those particular teachers. They can spend more time on the teachers that need that support. Maybe new teachers who are a little bit slower in gathering their observations and their ratings. For the administrators to be able to track this on the dashboard, it really saves administrators and teachers time so that everybody can support each other in completing the assessments for the children. I really hope that this training was helpful to you. Again, you can rewatch this as much as you want. You can watch it again later after you start gathering notes, and if you want another refresher on how to gather those reports. I think that you guys are hopefully going to really enjoy how Learning Genie saves you so much time in completing your assessments, and not only saves you time, but also makes your lesson planning and your assessments much more purposeful. If you ever need support with Learning Genie, please do give us a call at 760-576-4822, or you may email us at help@learning-genie.com. Thanks so much, you guys, and enjoy the rest of your school year.